with the commitment that Alabama picked up. Jacquizz Robinson, three-star quarterback from Sandalwood High School in Jacksonville, Florida, made the trip to Alabama on Saturday. As you wrote about, it was a memorable one for him as he committed. Tell us about this guy.
Yeah, third defensive back commitment for Alabama in the 2020 recruiting class. I think Alabama was looking at him more as a cornerback than safety, even though he's about 6'1.5", 177, 178 pounds. Very long, good height, good speed. I still think Alabama wants to see him a little bit this summer in camp. Try to determine, is he going to play corner or will he play safety? I think Alabama is hoping he'll be a corner because as of right now, I look at Alabama's recruiting class. They have Malachi Moore out of Hewitt-Trussville, Javier Morton out of Stevenson High School in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Both those guys are listed pretty much everywhere as cornerbacks, but I've been told that Alabama likes both those guys more as safeties than corners. So I think they're really hoping that Jacquizz Robinson can play corner. So he would probably be the only, as of right now, the only corner in the recruiting class. So I think Alabama's excited about him. They really liked him a lot. They offered him, I think, around January the 29th, and then he came up for the visit this past weekend. Just loved everything about it. He said that that was a program that he always kind of had his eye on, and just when he came to campus, just fell in love. And he had several offers at Florida, Texas, Florida State, LSU. A lot of big schools that had offered him. He says he's still going to take some business, but he says he doesn't think his decision is going to change at all. He's going to be an early enrollee, so he'll be enrolling next January, so that's going to be big for him. But yeah, a good start for Sal Sinceri, who was his lead recruiter, and new staff member at Alabama. So I'm sure that that's a big plus for him. I'm sure Nick Saban was probably pretty happy with Sal going ahead and getting a top recruit on board.
Yeah, Sal doesn't mess around. Alabama already with 11 public commitments for 2020, so that's a lot. Other happenings, you've written about it at BamaInsider.com, but just give us some scoop on how the junior day went overall.
Well, I thought overall it was great. We were looking at the list yesterday, and I was looking at it and I was saying, God, it really turned out to be a great overall day. A lot of top kids that Alabama really wants in this recruiting class. There were 2 5-stars on campus. Eric Gilbert, the 5-star athlete, tight end from Marietta, Georgia, was on campus. He brought his family with him and just had a tremendous visit. I mean, he's one of Alabama's top overall targets in 2020 and elite tight end. As many know, a tight end is a very important position for Alabama in the 2020 recruiting class. And this kid is definitely one of Alabama's key targets. 6'5", about 230 pounds, had over 1,000 yards receiving as a junior. I mean, just a tremendous athlete. And I think he's the number 7 overall player in the country. So having him on campus was big. Big to get him back in Tuscaloosa. Another big-time player, 5-star defensive end out of South Carolina, the number 1 player in South Carolina, Jordan Burch, defensive end. I think Alabama's extremely high on him as well. I think they really like him a lot. They want to get him back on campus a little bit more. It was his first visit, so it's all about kind of building those relationships, getting very comfortable. So that was a big visit. A couple of in-state guys that I really think that Alabama's high on. And,
Good.
They want to get on board. Number 1 guy is Quandarius Robinson. I mean, this is his second time visiting Alabama for junior days this year. Came to the first one. After the first one, decommitted from Auburn, and now has come back to the second one, brought several family members with him. I think he's very high on Alabama. I would probably say that Alabama's in the driver's seat for him at this time. Not really sure if he's going to make a decision anytime soon or if he's going to hold off for a while, but I think Alabama's in real good shape for him. And another guy that really kind of stands out to me that we didn't really know about prior to the weekend was DeRicky Wright.
Right.
He's a 3-star athlete from Etowah High School in Ocala. I think he kind of caught Alabama off guard a little bit as well because they had seen some film on him. He got invited down, and a lot of times it's all about bringing these kids down here so you can get an up-close look at them. And I think when they saw this kid, they were like, holy crap, who was this kid? He's 6'4", 225 pounds. really solid kid that plays kind of all over the field for Etowah High School. Alabama's talking to him about possibly, at 6'4", 225 pounds. They think he could possibly even play safety at the next level. Probably an outside linebacker, in my opinion. Maybe tight end. But they're going to bring him on campus this summer. I'll work him out. See what he can do and make a decision there. But I think they're extremely high on this kid, and I think that he could easily have a committable offer, depending on how he does this summer in camp.
It is a good year in state. We've talked about that already. 6 in-state commitments. You mentioned a couple more guys that have offers. How many players potentially? Because since Nick Saban's been here, some years they've signed some guys. There've been other years they've signed just a couple. Maybe is 10 or 11 in-state signees this year potentially?
It's possible. I think it's definitely possible. Right now, Alabama has 6 in-state commitments, and for the most part, those guys are pretty solid. They're all kids who grew up loving Alabama. Now, the only one that seems a little iffy on the edge is Jason Jones, 4-star defensive lineman from Calera High School. Still going to take some visits, but at the same time, he's been to Tuscaloosa so many times. He's been recruiting guys to Alabama. He's coached by Andrew Zhao, so it's going to be kind of hard for him to flip his commitment and go somewhere else. So I would be shocked if he did. Now, let's say Alabama signs those 6 guys. Well, who else are they going to go after in state? Well, Christian Story out of Lynette High School, big-time player. They love a lot. Recruited mainly as an athlete, but I think he's more of a decent bag. He's one of the top overall players in the state of Alabama for 2020. As we mentioned, Jacquizz Wright, I think he could easily end up having a scholarship offer. Jacquizz Robinson, big-time player, kind of a must-get prospect for Alabama, one of Alabama's top overall outside linebacker targets in this year's recruiting class. Outside linebacker, very key position. So, those are, 3 more names. So you get those 3, that's 9. Does Alabama possibly push hard for one of these receivers? J.J. Evans out of Montevallo High School, 6'3", about 185 pounds, had 1,700 yards receiving as a junior. Definitely a guy that's high on Alabama's recruiting board, but I think they're also kind of waiting to see, what happens with maybe some of these other wide receivers throughout the country. Who's going to be their top overall target at the wide receiver position? They already have 2 wide receiver commitments in Devon Baker out of Georgia and Daz Worship out of Hewitt Trustful. So you have 2 guys, probably going to get 2 more wide receivers. So you really have to make sure you're getting the right guys. Another in-state receiver, E.J. Williams out of Central High School in Phoenix City. He visited Alabama this past weekend. I know that there was a lot of stories written about him. And I just think that as of right now, he's probably a little bit behind some of these guys, probably a little bit behind J.J. Evans on the recruiting board. And there's some other wide receivers that I think Alabama is extremely high on. I think they want to see him a little bit more during the spring, during the summer, kind of see how he runs. I think they want to get a solid 40 time on him before making an all-out kind of blitz on him. But I know, a lot of people are talking about him, and they think that Alabama's got a great chance to sign him. But as of right now, I see him more as going out of state just because I don't think Alabama's really making a really hard push for him at the time.
Finally, Bone, now that the football coaching staff has been announced and we know their areas in terms of their position coaching, but also, of course, in terms of recruiting, what's your takeaway on this staff as a recruiting staff?
Well, I think it's going to be a great staff overall. I mean, a lot of these guys are very well established as recruiters. Especially South of Siri, Charles Huff, Brian Baker, Charles Kelly. I mean, these are some home run guys on the recruiting trail. So the biggest thing that Alabama's going to have to battle this year is, when they're recruiting against Georgia, they're recruiting against Clemson, they're recruiting against Ohio State, whoever it may be. Is you probably have coaches or fans or whoever it may be telling these recruits, hey, that coach isn't going to be at Alabama next year. He's only going to be there for a year. Or he's only going to be there for 2 years. You need to come here where our coaches are going to be. They're going to be here for the next 5-6 years. Alabama's lost so many. There's been so much coaching turnover over the course of the last 2 years. So Alabama's going to really have to battle that this upcoming year, and they're already battling it right now. So you got to kind of make sure recruits are aware that, hey, these are the coaches. We're hoping they stay here, but at the end of the day, you got to make your decision on who the head coach is and what school you want to go to, because at the end of the day, I think it's all about the school and the head coach as opposed to the assistant coaches. But these assistant coaches do build tremendous relationships throughout the entire year, and a lot of times these kids are going to choose the coaches that are the schools that they have the closest relationship with in terms of coaching staff. So it'll be interesting to see how things work out this year, but I think they've hired a tremendous staff in terms of recruiting, and a good mixture of young and veteran guys as well.
All right, Bone, great stuff. As always, inform the listeners on how they can get all your great information, social media-wise, of course, and also at BamaInsider.com.
Well, follow us at BamaInsider.com, part of the Rivals.com network. Follow me on my Twitter handle at Andrew J. Bone.
Thanks, Bone.